What's up everyone, Britt here from Torq. I am joined today by renowned cybersecurity researcher and analyst, Francis Odum. Francis, let's jump right into it. So you created a matrix for the critical capabilities of AI SOC vendors, and you ranked Torq in the top quadrant. So first of all, what was the criteria you were evaluating when creating this matrix?
So with our report, a big part of the goal was there's been a lot of noise, there's been a lot of discussions about just the nature of AI SOC and like the role, and there's been a lot of also hype, there's been a lot of greenwashing as we call it in the space, and we needed to really help set the context of like, okay, let's try to get the noise out and let's see who's doing what, who are the key players in the market, and what are the key capabilities they actually do have to offer. And so we went around talking to a bunch of practitioners, CISOs, leaders, and operators. And obviously, one of the early conclusions we came into the report was we have Torq listed as one of our highest robust solutions.
So on that, what strengths push Torq into the top quadrant of your matrix?
One of the key strengths we actually did identify with Torq were, we had about maybe 4 major themes. The first one being around the architecture maturity. And so one of the good things historically with Torq's capabilities is just the fact that being in Hyperautomation based solution, you guys have a really robust solution around event ingestion and routing, especially for really large enterprises, and helping to even connect hundreds of connectors. A second major piece that we really liked about what you guys had was really around the flexibility in terms of working with an existing SIEM or a SOC architecture a company might have. And so we found that just based off, again, Hyperautomation's capabilities of integrating very well with an existing SIEM and doing a lot of good enrichment processes, we actually found that Torq's capabilities and your AI agents, Socrates, actually had a really good ability to actually integrate really well with a lot of existing enterprises. In terms of the capabilities of your AI agents specifically, one of the really good things from our evaluation and what we saw was really the accuracy in terms of the ability to actually detect things better, and then the ability for you guys to do a really high amount of context enrichment, and not to talk about some of the high levels of integrations you guys had relative to some of the other vendors. And so a number of these criteria led us to pick Torq as a robust solution.
Of those capabilities you just outlined, which one of those stood out to you the most?
One of the feature reach that we really liked was just the fact that around your agentic AI, the depth of it, and so not just doing just basic enrichment, but the multi-tier agent workflows, in terms of the ability to be able to reason across a tier 1 SOC analyst workflow relative to like a tier 2 analyst workflow, which might need a little bit more deeper and detailed levels of investigations. And we really like that depth about what Torq had. We think one of the other second piece here that maybe differentiated Torq relative to maybe a number of new vendors on the market is just the case management orchestration capabilities that you had integrated well with your agentic AI. And so being able to blend a lot of your basic automation with a lot of your human oversights, and together with what you guys had in agent, and being able to, how your agents were able to better reason between what should go to analyst versus what could actually be investigated. We really like those capabilities. Obviously, we really like the conversational capabilities he had. So in terms of being able to notify analysts on Slack, on Teams, or email interactions to help to support their investigation on their workflow processes. Because one thing we heard over and over is from enterprises is how well are your solutions better able to work well with our existing workflow, or being able to communicate with our existing analysts. And so those were some of the features, and much more in which were outlined in the actual report itself.
Francis, let's talk a little bit more about agentic AI. So what developments in agentic AI architecture are next? How should vendors evolve?
I think right now, there's constantly the debate of autonomous SOC, right? Everyone's obviously talking about that, and right now we know AI agents, at least at the most basic, or at least where we're at right now, is we're still able to do a lot of the tier 1 triage work, right? And so So right now, I think we're very confident across the industry in terms of the levels of investigation around tier 1. I think as we get into tier 2, tier 3, it's like how much more could we actually go across those, and what level of autonomy could we potentially see within the SOC. And I do think as the foundational model comes as agents get a lot more sophisticated, enterprises are going to be like, Torq, hey, could you actually help us, give us the Lego bricks for us to actually be able to piece together a number of agents to work closely across our enterprise, or maybe work really well with what Socrates has, And so this is an evolution that we see.
Francis Odum, we certainly appreciate your insights. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.